Good evening, listeners, and welcome to Global Pulse for the 3rd of June 2025. Today's broadcast brings you the latest updates from around the world, covering international conflicts and geopolitics, economy and policy, political and social movements, crime and violence, sports and culture, and natural disasters and environment. From local communities to global perspectives, we've got it all covered. Let's dive in. International conflicts and geopolitics. Ukraine strikes Crimea bridge with underwater explosives. Ukraine has claimed responsibility for a massive underwater explosion targeting the Crimean Bridge, a key link between Russia and the occupied Crimean Peninsula. The attack, executed by Kyiv's SBU's security service, reportedly damaged the bridge's underwater supports. This marks Ukraine's second major operation against Russian assets in recent days, following a sophisticated drone raid. No ceasefire was reached in the latest Russia-Ukraine talks in Istanbul, though both sides agreed to exchange at least 1,000 prisoners of war and discussed returning abducted Ukrainian children. Israeli forces kill 27 Palestinians near Gaza aid point. At least 27 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire at a food distribution point in Rafah, Gaza, marking the third such incident in 3 days. Gaza health officials report that tanks, drones, and helicopters were used, while Israel claims its troops targeted specific suspects. The UN has called for an independent probe into these killings, as the death toll around controversial aid hubs exceeds 100. Sources also indicate that Israeli strikes on schools used as civilian shelters are part of a deliberate strategy, with over 120 deaths reported in recent months. UN aid convoy attacked in Darfur, Sudan. A UN aid convoy carrying food for 2 million people in famine-threatened El Fasher, Sudan, was attacked in Al Khoma, a region controlled by the Rapid Support Forces. The assault caused multiple casualties, highlighting the escalating violence in Western Sudan. The UN is urging immediate action to protect humanitarian efforts in the region. Economy and policy. UK to invest £2 billion in drones for military modernization. The UK government has announced a £2 billion investment in drones to enhance its military capabilities, aiming to make its army 10 times more lethal. The Strategic Defense Review will prioritize affordable one-way attack drones and reusable systems, drawing lessons from the war in Ukraine. A new drone center will also be established to coordinate efforts across the armed forces. Australia's central bank prepares for rapid rate cuts. Minutes from the Reserve Bank of Australia reveal readiness to implement rapid-fire interest rate cuts if global economic conditions deteriorate, particularly in response to potential trade disruptions from U.S. tariffs. The bank vetoed a 50 basis point cut last month, but remains prepared to act decisively to stabilize Australia's economy. Thames Water rescue deal collapses as KKR pulls out. The future of Thames Water, the UK's largest water supplier, is in doubt after US private equity group KKR withdrew from a £4 billion rescue deal. This increases the likelihood of temporary nationalisation as the company struggles with unsustainable debt. The UK water industry is now facing calls for a fundamental reset. UK ministers propose fast-track deportation law for asylum seekers. UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is drafting legislation to expedite the removal of asylum seekers from countries deemed safe. The move aims to streamline processing and deportation, but has raised concerns about denying claimants fair hearings, especially as channel crossings increase due to calmer weather. Political and social movements. Dutch government faces collapse after far-right leader quits coalition. The Netherlands government is on the brink of collapse after far-right leader Geert Wilders withdrew his Freedom Party from the ruling coalition over immigration policy disputes. The decision has sparked political uncertainty, with new elections likely on the horizon. South Korea elects Lee Jae-myung as new president. Exit polls confirm that Lee Jae-myung, a liberal candidate, has won South Korea's snap presidential election, defeating conservative rival Kim Moon-soo. The election follows months of political turmoil after former President Yoon Suk-yeol's brief imposition of martial law. Lee faces significant challenges in uniting a deeply divided nation. Kenyan software developer released on bail amid cybercrime charges. Kenyan software developer Rose and Jerry, arrested for creating a tool to oppose proposed tax changes, was released on bail amid public outrage. Her case highlights growing concerns about regional repression in East Africa, with critics accusing authorities of stifling dissent through cybercrime laws. Mother of jailed British-Egyptian activist continues hunger strike. Laila Suwaif, mother of imprisoned British-Egyptian activist Alaa Abdel Fattah, is on her 247th day of a hunger strike to demand her son's release from an Egyptian jail. Despite health risks, Suwaif remains defiant, stating she has no other choice to fight for justice. Crime and violence. Police identify 287 child sexual exploitation cases in England and Wales. UK Home Secretary Yvette Cooper revealed that police have identified 287 outstanding cases of alleged child sexual exploitation by grooming gangs. The government also plans to expunge convictions of grooming victims prosecuted for soliciting, addressing concerns about the criminalization of vulnerable children. Human remains found in search for missing Derby woman. UK police have launched a murder investigation after discovering human remains in the search for Izabela Zablocka, a Polish woman missing since 2010 in Derby. The case has renewed focus on long-standing missing persons investigations. 2 suspected Ugandan rebels killed in Kampala explosion. A female suicide bomber and another suspected rebel were killed in an explosion in Uganda's capital, Kampala. Authorities are investigating the incident as a potential act of terrorism linked to rebel groups. Military airstrike kills 20 in northwest Nigeria. An airstrike in Nigeria's Zamfara state killed at least 20 people, prompting Amnesty International to call for an investigation into the reckless attack. The region continues to face significant violence and instability. Sports and culture. French Open. Sabalenka to face Swiatek in semi-final. 3-time major winner Aryna Sabalenka will take on 4-time French Open champion Iga Swiatek in a highly anticipated semi-final match, promising a blockbuster showdown in Paris. Japanese baseball legend Shigeo Nagashima dies at 89. Shigeo Nagashima, known as Mr. Giants, passed away at 89, a celebrated figure in Japanese baseball during the 1960s and 70s. His legacy as one of Japan's most iconic sports stars endures. Austrian newspaper cuts ties over fake Clint Eastwood interview. An Austrian newspaper Courier has severed ties with a Hollywood reporter who repackaged old Clint Eastwood quotes as an exclusive interview. Eastwood called the fabricated Q&A completely phony, highlighting concerns about journalistic integrity. Japan passes law to restrict glittery baby names. Japan's government has introduced a new law to curb unconventional kira-kira names inspired by pop culture, aiming to standardize naming conventions and reduce social stigma around unique names. Natural disasters and environment. Major evacuation in Cologne after WWE bombs discovered. Cologne, Germany, is undergoing its largest evacuation since World War II after the discovery of 3 unexploded Allied bombs from the 1940s. Approximately 20,000 residents, including those in hotels and a hospital, have been relocated while the bombs are defused. Italy's Mount Etna erupts in spectacular display. Mount Etna, Europe's largest active volcano, erupted in Sicily, spewing ash, gas, and rock. The dramatic display caused no immediate damage but underscored the region's ongoing volcanic activity. Vanuatu criticizes Australia's gas project extension. Vanuatu's climate minister has criticized Australia's decision to extend the Northwest Shelf gas project until 2070, questioning its bid to co-host the COP31 climate summit. The move is seen as undermining Pacific nations' expectations for climate leadership. Earthquake triggers mass prison escape in Pakistan. An earthquake in Karachi, Pakistan, led to the escape of 216 inmates from a prison after tremors prompted their removal from cells. The incident highlights vulnerabilities in infrastructure during natural disasters. Information statement. Today's news is sourced from BBC World, Al Jazeera, and The Guardian. All content has been verified for accuracy. That wraps up today's Global Pulse. We'll continue to bring you daily news updates from around the world. Thank you for tuning in, and we wish you a wonderful day. Join us again tomorrow.